Welcome to Renewable Energy Investments. This channel offers a high-level discussion of publicly traded renewable energy companies because building an investment portfolio starts with building awareness. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Enphase Energy Inc., ticker symbol ENPH. You guys, just look at this stock's growth over the past few years. It's simply been incredible. The stock went from less than 70 cents at a certain point in 2017 to almost $60 in 2019. Absolutely incredible. This monster rally has resulted in Enphase substantially outperforming both the Russell 2000 Index and Guggenheim Solar Index over the past 5 years, and completely dominating both over the past 2 years. So what happened exactly? Why did the stock take off like a rocket? And can it go even higher? That's what we're going to discuss on this video. Alright, so first and foremost, let's talk about what happened in 2018 that sent this stock soaring. In my opinion, there were two main catalysts. First, Enphase's acquisition of SunPower's microinverter business. Second, the introduction of the IQ7 inverter. On August 9, 2018, Enphase and SunPower announced that Enphase had completed the previously announced acquisition of SunPower's microinverter business. One highly anticipated benefit from the acquisition was that SunPower's Equinox TM home solar system would now be enhanced by the custom line of IQ microinverters provided by Enphase for use with SunPower's AC modules. Since SunPower was no longer going to manufacture its own microinverters, but instead would rely on Enphase's. As a result, Enphase expected volume shipments of IQ7XS microinverters in the fourth quarter of 2018 and an acceleration of the ramp throughout 2019. The business was on track to achieve its full revenue and gross margin potential. ACM was a significant component of Enphase's profitable top-line growth strategy. Enphase was looking forward to being a strong innovation partner for SunPower. The IQ7XS microinverter offers a 97.5% CEC efficiency and was designed specifically for SunPower's X-Series 96-cell PV modules. This acquisition of SunPower's microinverter business turned out to be a brilliant strategic move. Interestingly, Enphase never planned to use the physical assets that it acquired from SunPower. It looks like Enphase intended to shut down SunPower's microinverter business immediately upon the acquisition. Enphase did, however, have two very compelling reasons for the acquisition. First, by purchasing the only other microinverter business, Enphase had become the sole producer of microinverters. Second, Enphase essentially bought a customer, as Enphase's IQ microinverters would be used for SunPower's solar panels. Having SunPower as a customer brought a large and stable buyer for Enphase's microinverters right when they needed to gain market share. This helped lower Enphase's costs by leveraging economies of scale, and may have even convinced other potential customers that if Enphase's microinverters were good enough for SunPower, they were good enough for them, too. The introduction of the IQ7 microinverter literally turned the company around. The company went from unprofitable to profitability. Take a look at this small excerpt from Enphase's 2019 letter to shareholders. In Q1 2018, we introduced the IQ7TM microinverter to customers in the US. By Q3 2018, we were increasingly profitable and gross margin had climbed to more than 30%. A majority of our worldwide shipments was IQ7 microinverters, and we started seeing a huge uptick in product demand. As a result, we started facing supply constraints in meeting this demand due to component shortages. We ended Q4 2018 with GAAP profitability for the first time in the company's history, and the stage was set for us to fix our supply problems and ramp up business in 2019. As a result of the SunPower microinverter acquisition and the IQ7 launch, as well as an increase in solar demand generally, Enphase had an amazing 2019. According to Enphase's Form 10-K, Net revenues increased by 97% in 2019 as compared to 2018, primarily due to an increase in the number of units shipped, as well as an increase in the average selling price per microinverter unit. They sold 6.2 million microinverter units in 2019, as compared to 2.8 million units in 2018. Gross margin increased by 5.5 percentage points for the year ended December 31st, 2019, as compared to the same period in 2018. The increase in gross margin was primarily attributable to higher product margins as a result of the IQ7 family of microinverters, which have a unit lower cost than previous models of microinverters, as well as the overall pricing and cost management efforts. Net income for 2019 was over $161 million, compared to 4 straight years of net losses from 2015 to 2018. Ultimately, those two events resulted in a jump in profitability, which is why the stock price shot up. Before we jump into whether the stock can go higher, I invite you to take a second to smash the thumbs up button to help support this channel. The channel is brand new and really needs all the support it can get to keep delivering quality content. Alright, back to it. Why demand could continue to soar. Now that we know how Enphase stock got here, let's shift our focus to where Enphase stock might be headed in the future. Society is currently at an inflection point when it comes to sources of energy generation. According to the International Renewable Energy Agency, the levelized cost of producing solar electricity is already comparable to that of fossil fuels. The cost of producing solar energy is expected to keep falling every year due to improvements in technology and manufacturing processes. By 2025, it is expected that coal and nuclear builds will no longer be economically competitive. As a result, global annual solar additions are expected to increase dramatically over the next 5, 10, and 30 years, essentially into the foreseeable future. Check out my video entitled, "Are Renewable Energy Stocks a Buy?" for a more robust discussion of the impending transition to renewable energy. For now, let's just say the future of solar power is looking very bright, as energy is a commodity and the lowest cost of production commodity generally wins. So long as Enphase remains competitive, demand for Enphase's products should continue to increase, along with an increasing demand for solar generally, for the foreseeable future. Enphase's product pipeline. Enphase will be bringing 3 products to market in the near future that I am very excited about. First, the Encharge energy storage system. Second, the Ensemble energy management system that allows for grid disconnection. And third, the IQ8 microinverter. Enphase is looking to diversify its product line by adding the Encharge battery and Ensemble energy management system to store and manage electricity generated by its microinverters. According to Enphase's 2019 shareholder letter, Enphase has high hopes for both product lines. The letter provides that a critical driver for Enphase's profitable top-line growth is storage. The Enphase TM storage system, based on the Ensemble technology, represents a transformative opportunity to increase revenue potential per home from approximately $2,000 to $10,000. It also states that Ensemble is a game changer. One of solar's biggest challenges is that it is grid-tied. This means that for solar systems today, if the grid fails or is offline, there will be no production out of the solar system, even if the sun is still shining. To address this limitation, Enphase invented Ensemble technology, an energy management technology that is completely grid agnostic. In the event of a grid failure, the solar system with Ensemble technology will form its own microgrid for the home. The Ensemble system uses a 3-tiered hierarchical control architecture similar to that of the conventional utility grid. The 3 tiers work together to create a robust, flexible power system that is designed to respond quickly to fluctuating demands while coordinating power flow to minimize cost of operation. The third product, the IQ8, is the next iteration of the microinverter, presumably smaller, more efficient, and cheaper to produce than the IQ7. The shareholder letter comments, after the market release of the Encharge storage system, We expect to release the grid-agnostic IQ8 PV product for residential solar applications, followed by the IQ8D microinverter product for the small commercial solar market, and the Ensemble in a Box product for the India off-grid market. We believe this will increase our serviceable available market from 3.3 billion in 2020 to 12.5 billion in 2022. As you can see, each of these upcoming products expands Enphase's serviceable market and results in a more stable, diversified business, as well as elevated revenues. Further, each gives Enphase the opportunity to cross-sell existing and future customers, increase its market penetration and brand recognition, and develop new relationships and partnerships with solar panel manufacturers. Oh, did I mention that they will all play a part in delivering long-term energy cost savings and thus value to customers? Enphase's balance sheet. Just look at the cash on that balance sheet. Over 251 million cash on hand at the end of 2019, with less than 3 million in current debt and 102 million in long-term debt. Enphase has plenty of cash on hand to pay off all of its debt, invest in research and development, aggressively ramp production, and expand into new markets. In my opinion, the balance sheet reflects Enphase's current position of power and the sound fiscal management by its executive team. Potential concerns. Competition. Currently, Enphase and SolarEdge essentially enjoy a duopoly in the US, with a combined huge market share of approximately 80%. To capitalize on the increasing demand for solar, it is imperative that Enphase retains or expands its inverter market share, which is in the US currently about 20%. I think this is certainly possible. For one thing, Enphase has long-term contracts to install inverters at the solar panel level with companies like Panasonic, SunPower, and Solaria. Such contracts provide for a stable base level of demand. Ultimately, Enphase is simply in a favorable position because it is essentially the sole producer of microinverters. Generally speaking, a solar panel system with microinverters will be slightly more efficient than one with power optimizers. However, it will admittedly have higher upfront costs and maintenance costs due to the fact that microinverters are a more technologically complex piece of equipment. Notwithstanding the higher costs, microinverters should always be able to at least capture the niche market where efficiency is at a premium. Efficiency can be very important, for instance, where there is a limited space on the roof, or where sunlight is being concentrated onto solar panels, perhaps through the use of mirrors. Government incentives. Rising concerns about climate change, the health effects of air pollution, energy security, and energy access, along with the volatile oil prices in recent decades, have led governments to acknowledge the need to produce and use alternative, low-carbon technology options, such as renewables. Currently, government incentives are likely providing a boost in short-term demand for solar inverters. Specifically, in the US, the Energy Investment Credit currently provides a federal tax credit for solar commercial and residential projects through 2021, equal to 26% of the cost basis of the solar project. If the investment tax credit does not get extended, we may see a pull forward in US solar demand prior to its expiration, then a drop-off in demand when the tax credit expires. On the other hand, any extension or increase to government incentives could send solar stocks higher. Ultimately, as the cost of solar energy continues to fall, government incentives will be less and less important, as solar energy should simply be one of, if not the most cost-efficient source of power. My opinion. I really like the microinverter niche that Enphase has carved out for itself. The combination of the solar power microinverter acquisition and the IQ7 have structurally changed the business and made it profitable. Being the sole microinverter company and the second largest player in a rapidly expanding US solar inverter market, Enphase could see more amazing growth in the future. With all that said, honestly, just look at the recent revenue and net income growth. If Enphase can keep up growth like that for another couple of years, watch out. The potential upside should be obvious. That's all I have to say. Perhaps the hardest part about buying into Enphase at this time is how much the stock has run up in the past 2 years. However, Not investing because a stock shot up like a rocket in the past 2 years sounds like a logical fallacy. From a purely rational perspective, a stock's past performance is irrelevant. My only concern is future return on investment and whether I think it will outperform the market. If anything, I hope others fall victim to such sunk cost fallacy and do not buy Enphase so that I can pick it up at an even cheaper price. Just so you know, I am currently a shareholder of Enphase, although my position is quite small. I bought my first shares in Enphase back in late 2018, and honestly, I got a bit lucky. Here's the backstory. At the time, I had done very little homework on Enphase, but I did know that it was SolarEdge's biggest competitor. On the other hand, I was very interested in SolarEdge and decided to purchase SolarEdge. Strictly as a hedge against the competition, I put about 10% of the amount of money I put into SolarEdge into Enphase. My SolarEdge position turned out to be an excellent investment. However, it pales in comparison to my Enphase position, which has essentially 10 times up in the past couple of years. What can I say? Sometimes it pays to have a little luck. Being as my Enphase position is still quite small, I would definitely like to add to it in the near future. The combination of a strong balance sheet, the potential for very fast growth, and a relatively reasonable price-to-earnings ratio make Enphase a very attractive stock. Well, that's it for today's episode. We'll discuss Enphase Energy and other promising renewable energy companies in more future videos. I invite you to subscribe to this channel to follow along. If you made it this far, well done. I wish you the best of luck in your investing practice. Oh, and make sure you smash the thumbs up button if you have not already.